If you guys haven't heard already, Britney Spears is finally speaking up about her conservatorship and toxic family situation. For the last 13 years, Britney has been under the conservatorship of her father, Jamie Spears. Conservatorship is basically just a court-ordered way of forcing someone to let go of any control over their own freaking life. For the last 13 years, Britney has had no control over her own money, her own work, her own kids, and even her own body. She actually even compared her situation to sex trafficking, which then you know that means it's really bad and there's probably a lot going on underneath the surface that we're not even seeing. But of course, I feel so much for Britney Spears. I absolutely loved her as a kid, and so I was really intrigued to take a look at her birth chart. We have it right behind us, but what I saw on that chart really shook me. The first thing that I can really tell you guys is the fact that this specific situation, you know, this like very repressive, restrictive, like control over her by her family, this oppressive regime, this situation is really something that is not new to Britney Spears, as in she has experienced this many times before, over and over again in many different lifetimes. If you know me, then you know that I practice a spiritual approach to astrology, which that's basically just the understanding that we are eternal souls that have lived many different lifetimes in many different bodies on many different planets. And so I apply the same approach to Britney Spears. And again, her chart shows that this restrictive, oppressive regime of her family is something that she has experienced again and again and again. And if anything, it's kind of like a karmic cycle that she is stuck in. She's stuck in this repetitive loop where she is doing the same things over and over again, making the same mistakes, potentially with the same people, but it is truly gonna take a very emotional, intense, visceral transformation in order for Britney to be able to finally break free of the cycle. And I'm truly hoping that this lifetime is the one where Britney is finally able to break free. But with all that said, I do wanna take a deep dive into Britney's birth chart because I feel like so much of it can really tell us so much about her personality, her life, and this specific situation. So with all that said, let's get started with reading Britney's birth chart. The very first thing I want to start out with is Britney's big three: the sun, moon, and rising. The big three is really one of the most important and first steps to look at because the big three really represents your overall identity, your personality, your motivations and drives, and what truly makes you you. And so let's start by taking a look at Britney's big three. Britney was born on December 2nd, 1981, and so that makes her a Sagittarius Sun. You see the little sun right here in Sagittarius. This tells me that Britney at the core is driven by the need for freedom and independence. Sagittarius is known for being the explorer, the traveler, and so they really love to get out of their comfort zone. They love to see new things. They love to go on adventures. They truly are seeking freedom, independence, autonomy, and they are really not the type of people who like to be tied down under conservatorships. Again, all Sagittarius suns are driven by the need for freedom and autonomy. They may approach it in different ways according to other planets on their chart, but at the core, they are driven by the need for freedom. So again, this really does not mesh well for Britney's soul in terms of the conservatorship. So even though that is probably very painful for Britney, the feeling like she is a caged animal, I truly also feel like the Sagittarius Sun is really helping her soul because she is not gonna rest until she achieves that freedom, until she achieves her own full autonomy and independence. And her sun is not gonna allow her to rest until she gets there. And so hopefully that inner fire can truly help Britney make the right kind of moves. She has a Sagittarius Sun. With that, she also has an Aquarius Moon. You see the little moon symbol in the sign of Aquarius. So this is really interesting to me too because the moon in astrology represents your emotional world. So it's really like how you feel things, how you feel your emotions, how you express your emotions. Like, are you a loud person? Do you cry? Are you angry? Or do you all keep it to yourself? It's about how you feel them, how you express them, and how you receive nurturing from other people. And I say that it's funny for the moon to be in Aquarius because Aquarius is actually known for being sort of like an unemotional sign. They are an air sign, so they tend to be quite mental, quite intellectual, and in that sense, they are more detached or removed from their feelings. They tend to like to kind of process their emotions intellectually, if that makes sense, before proceeding with a response. They definitely don't like to act messy. And so I can definitely say that Britney, on an emotional level, is someone who is a little bit more cool or detached, reserved, not really the type of person to be overly emotional, especially in public. So this can definitely be a good thing because it helps her remain calm, cool, and collected. It helps her remain detached from the outcome. I'm sure it helps her deal with the situation that she's under. But what I fear about the Aquarius moon is the fact that when Aquarius is pushed too much in uncomfortable situations that they can't process emotionally, then they sort of tend to even disassociate from the situation completely, where she might just completely remove herself mentally, emotionally, physically. She might just kind of feel like she's a robot going through the motions. So I really hope that, that doesn't affect her too much, that she can still do things that feel good to her, that make her happy, that help her feel emotions, and that she has other support around her. But that is what the Aquarius moon tells me. Now, this combination of Sagittarius Sun and Aquarius Moon is really interesting to me because those two signs really tend to be very independent. They like freedom. They don't like to be tied down. Aquarius is the sign of liberation. So again, they do not like other people telling them what to do. So Britney is quite a very strong-willed person, a very assertive person in who she is and what she wants. She is not afraid to be alone. So again, that really clashes with her conservatorship. But what I see then as really interesting is the fact that even though she's super independent, super on her own, what really brings it, I guess, back down to earth or makes her more of a people person is the fact that she is also a Libra rising. Libra is here. The rising sign is indicated here with this line, and it is in Libra. And if you know astrology, then you know that Libra is the sign that rules relationships. So Libra risings tend to be very people-oriented people who they are someone who likes to be around other people. They like to have friends that they can lean on. They like to bounce ideas off of other people. They like to get other people's opinions before proceeding with action. So even though Britney on the inside, on the core, is independent and wants to do things on her own, how she approaches that is through Libra. So she is someone that seeks independence through other people, through her relationships, through what other people can help her with, through her connections. So again, it really ties to her life and situation, I feel, because even though she is strong-willed and powerful on the inside, she still likes to receive that power through other people, and she feels best when she's dealing with others. So the Libra rising, I truly feel, is one of those things that is getting her in the situation where she is leaning too much on other people to get her what she wants, which might not be the best route to take. Of course, it's not necessarily a bad thing to lean on others, right? You can find freedom through others. You can use others or receive help from others in order to break free of something or to liberate yourself. But that would be all fine and dandy if you know the right people to ask for help and the right relationships to have in your life. If you know how to tell the bad apples from the good ones, of course. And what I see on her chart is the fact that Britney Spears might actually have a bit of trouble with that. And I say this because her Aquarius moon here is making a square aspect, this red line, to Chiron in Taurus. So the square aspect, the red line, indicates a conflict. It means that these two planetary bodies are not meshing well. And the moon represents your emotions, how you feel nurtured, and Chiron represents a traumatic soul level wound, potentially even incurred from past lifetimes. So this really tells me that Britney has a hard time feeling nurtured by other people or knowing who to trust in terms of her own emotional self-care. She has made mistakes in the past with this, where she may have trusted people who were not trustworthy. She may have relied too much on other people who turned out to be detrimental to her. Potentially in past lifetimes, of course, because Chiron is a karmic asteroid that indicates connections to past lives. But again, the square aspect really tells me that something about her emotional self-care or her ability to express her emotions or to receive that nurturing love from other people, that has been wounded with this connection to Chiron. She has again made mistakes with that in the past, and it is re-manifesting in this lifetime, where she may not know who to trust or who to lean on or who to let into her inner circle. The moon really represents your close-knit inner circle, like your family. The moon can also indicate mother energy. So I wonder if Britney Spears has some kind of deep soul level, even subconscious wound with her mother. I don't really know what her relationship is with her mother. I think I've seen other people have questions about her mother. I don't really know what's going on there, but I can tell you from this aspect at least that her mother is part of her soul wound, part of her karma, and she may have had bad relationships with maternal figures from the past. So again, those are all things that are kind of hampering her from ability to have beautiful relationships now. So I definitely see the moon square to Chiron as something that is important. I also want to point out her Venus in Capricorn. So this is the symbol of Venus. It is in the sign of Capricorn. Venus, you can imagine, is the planet of love. So Venus tells you how you like to be loved and how you relate to other people and how you receive love. The moon is more about emotional care, and Venus is more about relationships and love. And when your Venus is in Capricorn, that means that you can tend to have transactional types of relationships where the focus is on, the transaction. Like, am I getting something in return for being invested in this person? What am I getting out of this relationship? Capricorn is a sign that rules business, and so they tend to be very practical people. They tend to be realistic, transactional, again, about whether you are receiving the most bang for your buck for the effort that you're putting into a person or a relationship. So first of all, Britney with Venus in Capricorn, she is just naturally has a tendency to get herself into relationships that are transactional or business minded. She can also tend to see business relationships as a sign of love, if that makes sense. So when her father, Jamie, is working really hard on making business deals for her, doing things related to her career, Britney with her Venus in Capricorn can tend to see that as a sign of love because, again, the way she loves her Venus is focused on the practical side of life, and she likes when people are delivering tangible results to her. Again, that's nothing bad, of course, but when bad actors are negatively taking advantage of that, or if you don't know the right people to choose and let into your life, then of course it can become really harmful. And so she has Venus in Capricorn. What I also see as really significant with Britney's Venus is the fact that it is making a square aspect to these three planets. Again, the square aspect is the red line, and squares indicate conflicts between two planets. And so her Venus, her ability to love and get into healthy relationships, is having a conflict with Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. And I just have to say that Saturn and Pluto are some of the most difficult planets to work with in astrology. Saturn represents restrictions, limitations, authority figures telling you what to do. Pluto represents power imbalances and the feeling that you are being controlled, or there is someone who is possessive or obsessive over you. So Britney feels all of those energies when it comes to her relationships. I do want to point out these square aspects because we see her Venus and her moon, the two planets that really represent her ability to receive love and to receive care from other people. Those two planets are in difficult square aspects to other difficult asteroids and planets. And so I truly feel like Britney has a hard time knowing who to trust, knowing who to let in, knowing who is on her side. But again, I think these are all challenges that are set for her in order to help her break free of the cycle. Now, let's get into the part of the chart that really shook me. This is where I'm going to be talking about the nodes. The North Node, which is this symbol here, and the South Node, which is this upside down looking symbol here. Again, you guys know I practice a spiritual approach to astrology, which is really looking at our birth chart as a map of our soul, the many previous lifetimes that our soul has lived, and the destiny that we're trying to achieve here on a soul level. And when you get started with that type of astrology, then you really need to learn about the nodes. The South Node tells you about your past lives, your past soul experiences, where your soul is coming from, your soul background, your karma, your debts to be paid. That is the South Node. The North Node points to your future and the ultimate destiny or purpose that you're here to fulfill, what you're really trying to achieve in this lifetime. But first, we need to start by understanding the South Node. You can see her South Node is right next to Venus. It is in the sign of Capricorn, the sign of business, and it is also in the 4th house indicated here. And the 4th house rules home and family. And so Britney literally has her South Node in Capricorn, the sign of business, transactions, career, authority, jobs, also in the 4th house, ruling home and family. And so this really tells me that Britney, on a soul level, has experienced this type of business-related energy when it comes to her family. Her soul has experienced some type of orientation towards, focusing on her job or focusing on her public status, her public reputation. When it comes to her family life, she was perhaps had many lifetimes of a business-minded family, or perhaps she was in business with her family, sort of thinking like the Kardashians. But whatever it is, her soul is coming from many previous lifetimes of experiencing a Capricorn type of energy when it comes to her home and family. Capricorn represents business, money, tangible results. It also represents restrictions, limitations, boundaries, having people, authority figures usually, telling you what to do, oppression, restriction, limitations, delays, feeling bad about herself, being hard on herself because she is holding herself to impossible standards when it comes to business and output and tangible results and money. And so these are all the things that her soul has experienced in past lifetimes. This is really what her soul is comfortable with. She's comfortable being in close-knit family types of relationships where there is money involved or where there is something else involved other than just pure familial love. And so again, this is really the part of the chart that shook me. I truly think the nodes are the most important part of your birth chart. And when you have your South Node in Capricorn in the 4th house and you're under freaking conservatorship from your father, then it tells me that again, Britney has experienced this type of situation in many different ways in many different lifetimes. And this is repeating in order for her to help break the cycle. And I truly hope she does that. But again, Britney has experienced challenges, hardship, lessons learned the hard way, hard-earned rewards. All those types of things are occurring in her family zone. So we can see how that is really translating in her real life. Now, what I also want to point out is the fact that her South Node is really close to Venus. They are just 1 degree apart, which means that they are in a conjunction aspect with each other. They're in a tight conjunction. So when your South Node is conjunct Venus, that tells me that something about Venus is a part of your karma as well, is a part of your past lives, your past experiences, and part of the karma or the debts or the mistakes that you're here to fix and repay in this lifetime. Something about Venus is part of her traumatic experiences. And of course, when you think of Venus, you think about love, you think about relationships, you think about spouses and husbands and wives. And so I wonder if Britney has had past life experiences where there have been love interests Venus, part of her family, perhaps like a husband or spouse, that has been the restrictive Capricorn figure in their lives. I wonder if Britney has experienced this same type of situation before in previous lifetimes with a love interest or with a husband, with a spouse. This does seem to indicate that Britney has been under the control of a spouse. With that, it even makes me think, I wonder if Jamie Spears, her father, his soul was her love interest in a past lifetime, or her husband. Perhaps Jamie Spears was the one, the Venus figure, that controlled her in a previous lifetime. And for some reason, he just decided to reincarnate as her father in this lifetime. But again, there's definitely some kind of connection to a relationship or a love interest that was a part of her family, that was the one bringing this type of Capricorn energy to her. So again, I definitely feel like this contributes to the squares that she has from Venus and Moon, where she feels like she can't trust people, even if they're really close to her. The closest people in her life are the ones that have harmed her. And so I do want to say with this that Britney does need to be careful about the relationships, the love relationships that she gets into now in this lifetime, like the boyfriends she has or the husbands she has, all of those things. I just want her to be careful with it because, again, with this connection, she is comfortable being controlled by a family member or by a love figure. And so when you're comfortable with it, you can tend to just like kind of fall into those situations without even intending to, even if you desire freedom in the long run, because again, you have just done that so many times before. So she does need to be careful with her relationships now. I know she is with someone. I don't really know much, but I just want to point out that Britney does need to be careful when it comes to her love relationships. Another part of the karma that Venus can indicate is her image as this Venus figure. So, you know, Venus on one hand represents love, relationships, that sort of side of life, like Cupid. But Venus also represents the feminine goddess, as in sort of like an Aphrodite type of figure. And I feel like we can see how Britney Spears is marketed as this Venus feminine goddess because, of course, she started as a pop icon. That's what she is. And she is known for her looks, her body, among her music as well. So I also feel like perhaps she did have previous lifetimes where she was potentially forced by authority figures, Capricorn, to take on this image of a Venus, of Aphrodite. There's something around that where she may have been put into a situation, I don't want to say like slavery, but she was, you know, forced into it basically. So again, I feel like there is some kind of karma around her particular image as a feminine goddess. And perhaps this is something that she does not want to perpetuate. Again, with a close conjunct to the South Node, it is a part of her past that is now ready to release. The karma has ripened and she is ready to let go of these previous experiences being a Venus figure. So I do wonder if her image, her identity of a pop goddess is really something that she wants to continue, if she feels like that is truly authentic to her. Whatever it is, she should feel totally comfortable to let go of this Aphrodite image. So to recap, Britney is a soul that has experienced restrictive situations when it comes to her family. She has been in situations where there's been a lot of rules and structures set up that has made her feel like she is not in control in that area of life. I feel like in order for her to break free of the cycle, the big challenge that she needs to overcome is the battle of her identity and her brand, basically. Who she gets to be and who she gets to present herself as to the world. And I say this because Britney Spears has Saturn and Pluto in the first house, which rules your identity. The first house rules your identity, your personality, how you see yourself, how you present yourself to the world. It's even about your appearance, your clothes, your style, and your general brand, essentially. And so I had talked about how Saturn and Pluto are two difficult planets. Again, they're both in her first house. So it tells me her big life challenge is to really figure out her identity and to figure it out for herself, not through other people. Saturn in the first house Saturn is the planet that actually rules Capricorn. So all the same themes of restrictions, boundaries, limitations, rules, being told what to do, those all apply to her identity. And I'm sure she has had many rules applied to her in this lifetime on what she can and cannot do, how she can and cannot dress. Because she is a pop icon, she has had all these things enforced upon her. And the Saturn also tells me that she can be very critical and hard on herself for it. She holds herself to really high standards, somewhat impossible standards, and again, her family, her father has created this structure, this set of rules on how she can and cannot behave. And she personally is very hard on herself and beats herself up when she cannot reach certain standards, even if those standards may not actually be good for her. So she has that side of her personality. Saturn in the first house can also sometimes be depressive because they are feeling like everyone is against them. They don't feel like they have support. They can turn quite cynical, actually. So hopefully Britney can watch out for that. But she has Saturn in the first house. She also has Pluto, and Pluto is the planet of power. And when it is in your first house, it means that you will experience an imbalance of power when it comes to your identity. Again, it is a sense that someone else who is more powerful than you or in a position above you is controlling how you present yourself. And Pluto is also a money planet, so it can also indicate be controlled for financial reasons or for the financial benefit of other people. So she has that really drilling into her identity zone, her first house. She really needs to learn how to regain her own power when it comes to her image. And that is her big challenge to overcome. Pluto in the first house also tells me that there is a lot in her psyche. Basically, she has a lot of skeletons in her closet that she needs to release, that she needs to let go of. She has a lot of emotional baggage inside, and it is both from this lifetime and from previous lifetimes. And with Pluto, you really do need to be very raw and honest with yourself about those things. You essentially need to face your own shadows and really face all the darkness in order for there to be light. And so Pluto in the first house usually are people who really do well with therapy. That is obviously helpful and maybe not court ordered. Therapy, self-reflection, deep internal investigation. She truly needs to be honest with herself and all the things that she's keeping buried underneath the surface. But she has the ability to become a very powerful figure, but it is this battle with her identity that she needs to overcome. And I do think this zone is the most important for her because you see Pluto, this planet, is making a square aspect to the nodes. To the north node here, there's a red line, and also to the south node here, another red line. And so it really tells me that this zone, her identity, is the major area of life where she needs to regain her own power and her own authority in order to get to her ultimate destiny. Again, her soul is starting off kind of here in Capricorn in the family zone. She wants to get there, but in order to do so, she needs to take this path where she goes here, she confronts this boss, she overcomes it in order to be able to reach here. So I truly feel like she needs to take back control of her image, who she is, who she wants to present to the world, and we all need to be open and accepting of Britney to do exactly just that. Pluto indicates that she needs to go through the death of her old image so that she can be reborn into her true authentic self. Pluto is really the experience of a death, rebirth, and transformation. And she needs to experience all of that within the context of her identity, her first house. This is truly the vibe of like a phoenix rising from the ashes and becoming completely anew from a cataclysmic emotional situation. With all that said, let's discuss Britney's North Node. The North Node will really tell us Britney's ultimate destiny, as in the ultimate purpose or goal that her soul is here to achieve in this lifetime. The energy or way of being that will truly help her grow the most on a soul level. You can see her North Node is in the sign of Cancer in the 10th house. The 10th house rules your career. So first of all, we discussed Capricorn. Capricorn is business-minded, practical, paternal. Capricorn is like father energy. Cancer is the total opposite of Capricorn because Cancer is emotional, it is sensitive, it is nurturing, it is intuitive and creative, and it is very maternal energy. And so when you have your North Node in Cancer, this truly tells me that Britney on a soul level is here to activate the nurturer and mother within herself and to really show up in front of the world as a mother figure. She's really here to show herself as a caretaker, a nurturer, much more of a mother image rather than an Aphrodite Venus image. And so this is really what her soul is trying to get to, a place in life where she can show the true sensitive nature of herself. And in the process, she will be able to heal her own inner child and nurture her own inner child that did not get that same type of maternal motherly love in her own childhood. So with this North Node in Cancer, I truly feel like she is going to be doing things more publicly that is in care or in advocation for other people. I definitely feel like she's going to start advocating and speaking up about other people who are in similar situations as her, as in other child pop stars or child actors. So definitely feel like she may become a more vocal public figure when it comes to speaking out about, you know, the treatment of young actors in Hollywood, as it happened to Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan. You know, we've all seen the drama around them. But I definitely feel like she's going to take on much more of a visible role where she becomes somewhat of an activist and an emotional warrior. That is the best of Cancer, where they can fight for other people's emotions to be heard and to be seen by others. And I definitely feel like she's going to do it with other people who have shared her same experiences. So I definitely see that for her. Her North Node is also in the 10th house, ruling her career. So with that, I definitely get the sense that Britney is trying to get to a place where basically she takes back control of her own career and she takes ownership of it. And she is able to do a job or just do things professionally that she likes. Her destiny is to take full ownership and control of her own career. And she's gonna do it through a Cancer way, by connecting with people emotionally, by taking care of people, by bringing about healing and emotional safety. I know that a lot of Britney fans already see her as this mother figure, and I think she's gonna do it more publicly and show this new side of herself. So I'm definitely really excited to see that. With that, I do think there are going to be things that she does in the future that kind of move away from the pop goddess icon image. So one thing I think of Cancer is cooking, because Cancer rules the stomach. It rules, you know, food, family, home. And so I do wonder if she's going to do anything related to cooking in the future, maybe like a cookbook or I don't know, videos about it. I'm not sure what it is, but there can be an expression of cooking with Cancer. I also wonder if she's gonna be doing something where she works with children specifically. Of course, I say that because Cancer is the mother, but also Cancer is ruled by the moon, and her Aquarius moon is in the 5th house. And the 5th house is specifically the one in astrology that rules children and kids. Having moon in the 5th house in general just means that it really says to me that she loves kids. She loves being around kids. They bring her joy. She is definitely someone who wants to have kids. I mean, that's just how I interpret moon in the 5th house. So she loves kids. She has this placement here. And she also has a stellium. She has many planets in her 3rd house here. And the 3rd house specifically rules early education, like childhood education. So with these two placements combined, I wonder if she's going to do anything related to kids, like making products for kids, you know, baby clothes or whatnot, or she might do something more related to like education, writing books for kids. I don't know exactly, something around that, but I definitely sense that energy with a 3rd house activated, the 5th house, and the Cancer North Node. I also want to share that having North Node in the 10th house indicates that Britney is going to be a very public figure, as in she's going to be seen by many, many people. Of course, we know that that has already happened, but that is still a part of her destiny. And that's because the 10th house is the topmost house on your chart. It's usually at the very top of your chart. And so when you have important planets there, that means that you are really meant to be seen by the world. You're meant to be very visible. And again, we know that Britney has already had that career in terms of her singing, but I do know and see from the chart at least that she's meant to have a public career as a Cancer energy, and she's meant to be seen by the world for her ability to nurture and heal. So I do think she's going to be very public, very vocal. I don't think anyone can really shut her up. And I think Britney has a lot to say, actually. And I say that because Britney has a stellium, just many planets, in her third house. I talked about how the third house rules childhood education, but the third house also rules communication and the ways in which you speak your message. So when you have so many planets here, including her sun, which represents her identity, and her Mercury, which represents her intellect, I mean, really just tells me that Britney has a very strong voice, and she is here to speak her message, and she is here to speak her truth. And again, no one can shut her up with so many planets here. She has something that she's meant to share. She has a message that we are all meant to hear. She's gonna do it in a very public Cancer way. But just wanna tell you guys how, yes, a part of her gifts in this lifetime is her ability to communicate her message. And I do feel like her singing and her songs are a big part of that form of communication for her, because of course, singing, songwriting, filmmaking, making art in general, you know, those are all ways to communicate also, along with writing and speaking and all those things. But she is truly sending us a lot of information through her songs. I do think that, you know, songstress energy is indicated in her third house because she has Neptune in her third house. Neptune specifically rules sound, frequencies like that, like vibrations of the air. And when that is in your third house, it makes you really attuned to that type of energy and to communicating through that energy. So I definitely see singing abilities in her chart. So I do think that, you know, even though she may take on a different role in the future, I still think her music career is going to be a big part of that. But it might be that she starts singing in a different way, basically, or singing in a different style that is more resonant to her soul and feels more authentic to her. And hopefully it's going to be also other types of songs that really showcase her like vocal range and her vocal abilities. Again, I think that she has really strong potential there with all these planets in the third house. So I definitely think we do have more music to expect from her and to get excited for in the future. And hopefully it's something that makes her feel like she's truly speaking what she wants to say. Now, with all that said, the final thing I want to share before I end this video is a little bit more about the third house. I also want to point out the fact that the third house is the house in astrology that rules siblings, sibling relationships. I mean, Britney really does have a lot of energy around like home and family in her chart because, you know, she has the sibling energy with the third house. She has home energy in general with the fourth. She has children energy with the fifth house. I mean, there's just like a lot of concentration on the bottom half of her chart, which is really about her internal world. And so again, the third house is about siblings. She has her sun in the third house. So it really does tell me that Britney identifies very strongly with her sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. Not Jamie Spears, Jamie Lynn Spears. But the sun tells me that she really identifies with Jamie. She, I guess, like even sees a part of herself in Jamie. I think there is a close connection there. But I also get the sense from Uranus and Neptune, both in the third house, that Jamie might not be who she presents herself to be, basically. The Neptune specifically tells me that something about her sibling relationship is clouded in a fog. Neptune is all about like fogs, confusion, illusion. Basically, like things are not what they appear, or like what you see is not what you get. And so that is affecting her sibling zone. So I just want to point out, like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of love between them, but I do think that Jamie Lynn is someone that Britney has a hard time understanding. With Uranus, I also think that Jamie Lynn can be someone who is quite volatile or erratic or rebellious in her own way. I don't know anything about Jamie Lynn, honestly, but I just want to indicate that because I have seen other people questioning Jamie Lynn as well. And I do think with this energy, Britney needs to be careful about how much she trusts, I guess, or lets in, because again, even though she identifies so strongly with Jamie, there is a sense that there's confusion and volatility and erraticness surrounding that relationship. And so she wants to be careful in terms of like how much she shares. Okay guys, I hope this was super interesting and helpful, and that it helped you learn a little bit more about Britney Spears and to connect to what she might be feeling on a soul level. I really feel like it helped me get closer to her energy. So I'm super excited to see what more is to come in terms of her future, because I truly feel like Britney is at a breaking point basically, where she is now ready on a soul level to break the karmic cycle and to start doing things more for herself and more on her own. You know, I just say this because of how powerfully she showed up in her testimony, how raw she was, but also because of the various important planetary transits that she's going through right now. Actually, I didn't even talk about this, but she's going through several important, planetary events that indicate that she is at a crossroads where she is ready to choose and carve a new path for herself. So I truly feel like she is going to break free. She's going to be liberated, even if it takes some time, because Saturn does indicate that things can take time. But whatever it is, she will achieve her destiny in the end. So hopefully we can all support her with that. If you guys want to learn how to read your own birth chart, then you can definitely check out my membership program, the Lunar Mission Club. I don't do personal readings right now, but I am teaching through my membership club, where I teach a beautiful group of soul-driven people how to read their own cosmic blueprint and to figure out their own karma and destiny. So if you guys want to check that out, then you can go to my link in bio. But with all that said, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!